Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're looking for a crash course on a nation that manages to be, simultaneously ancient and hypermodern, mythic and rigorously scientific, you are in exactly the right place.
You really are.
Today, we are doing a deep dive into Scotland, the country that keeps the unicorn as its national animal while also giving the world penicillin.
It is the ultimate contrast, isn't it? And honestly, that tension between mythology and hard science is the key to understanding the place.
Totally.
You've got these ancient castles, the Loch Ness Monster legend, and it's all coexisting with the birthplace of modern economics and the steam engine.
Absolutely. So for you, we have compiled a fantastic stack of sources, everything from a 2025 fact sheet, dubbed catalogs of landmarks, and just an astonishing list of global innovators.
Right.
Our mission is to give you that quick, thorough knowledge you need to really grasp Scotland's unique identity, this blend of fierce independence and, pioneering global influence.
Exactly. We're going to cover everything from how it's governed to the thinkers who literally shaped global philosophy. We want you to walk away from this understanding why a relatively small country carries such immense cultural and intellectual weight.
Sounds good.
So let's start with the hard facts. Where Scotland is and how it fits into the political landscape.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this political geography. Officially, it's Scotland. It takes up the northern third of the island of Great Britain. You've got England to the south, and then it's just surrounded by the Atlantic and the North Sea.
And its political status is where it gets really interesting because it's a nation within a nation.
Right.
It is part of the United Kingdom, so King Charles III is the head of state. But, and this is the important part, since devolution, Scotland has its own democratically elected Scottish Parliament.
And that parliament holds some serious power, doesn't it? They handle major policy areas like education, health, law.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why you see systems that are often really distinct from England's. They even have their own first minister, that's been John Swinney since 2024, who runs the day-to-day government.
That level of autonomy feels so critical to its identity.
It is. They may share the pound sterling currency and be part of the UK, but they keep a fiercely independent legal system and cultural institutions. It's a constant balancing act.
What's fascinating, especially when you look at its global output, is the physical scale of it. Scotland is only about, 77,910 square kilometers.
Yeah, not huge.
And the population, as of 2025, it's only around 5.5 million people. I mean, that's smaller than a lot of single metro areas around the world.
And that number is heavily skewed toward the south. If you look at the geography, the fundamental split is between the highlands and the lowlands.
Okay.
The highlands are up north and to the west, rugged, mountainous, really sparsely populated. The lowlands in the south and east, that's where you find the fertile land and most of the industry.
And that concentration is definitely reflected in the cities. Edinburgh, the capital, is it's incredible. It sits right on an old volcanic rock, totally defined by its castle.
A global hub for arts, for festivals. But while Edinburgh is the political and cultural capital, Glasgow is the biggest city.
The industrial heartland.
Historically, yes. The shipbuilding powerhouse. A major working city, but with this fantastic reputation now as a cultural and musical innovator. You really see that Highlands-Lowlands split and the personalities of those two cities.
And you just cannot talk about Scotland without talking about water. I mean, we know they have over 10,000 kilometers of coastline, all these islands like the Hebrides, Orkney, Shetland.
But the lochs, the inland water features, they are legendary.
Yes.
Loch Ness is, of course, the most famous, mostly because of Nessie. But it's also one of the deepest bodies of water anywhere. It's important to remember, though, that Loch Lomond is actually the biggest by surface area, a massive 71 square kilometers.
And the land itself has Britain's highest peak, Ben Nevis, at 1,345 meters. So you have these dramatic mountains, incredibly deep lochs, and then you see pictures of the beaches in the Outer Hebrides that look almost tropical.
It's the Gulf Stream.
It's an insane geographical package, all threaded together by its longest river, the River Tay.
Speaking of definition, let's move into the core national identity. You mentioned the unicorn, but the practical symbols are just as potent.
Like the thistle.
Exactly, the thistle. A rugged weed that became a symbol of defiance. The legend says a sleeping Scottish army was saved when an invading Viking stepped on one and cried out.
I love that story. And then you have the saltire, the St. Andrew's cross.
Of a white diagonal cross on a blue field. Their national flag. I think the most iconic symbol globally has to be the tartan and the kilt.
Oh, for sure.
The tartan is so key. Historically, the patterns were linked to clans, representing a specific family or a region. Wearing a kilt today is just this powerful statement of Scottish heritage,
And with the kilt comes the sound of the Highlands, the bagpipes.
which were once classified as instruments of war.
That's amazing. They also treat the New Year, which they call Hogmanay, like this huge national celebration. And every January, they celebrate Burns Night for their national poet, Robert Burns.
Burns is fundamental. He's celebrated for his poetry on love, nature, and, crucially, social equality. You'll hear his words all over the world, especially Auld Lang Syne.
Of course.
And we should just quickly mention the languages. English is dominant, but Scots and Scottish Gaelic are actively preserved, with Gaelic even having regional official status.
When we talk about these traditions, it's easy to think of Scotland as just historical, but its economic power is incredibly modern.
Yes, it's a major global player. The most famous export, of course, is Scotch whisky. It's one of their biggest contributions to global trade. But the economy has also been heavily tied to oil and gas from the North Sea.
That's the classic energy sector. But here's where the innovation really kicks in. They've become an absolute world leader in renewable energy.
They really have, especially offshore wind and tidal power. That transition is a huge part of their economic story right now.
So it's not just oil anymore.
Not at all. They're exporting electronics, textiles, premium farmed salmon. Plus, the finance and tourism sectors are massive parts of their GDP, especially in Glasgow and Edinburgh. It's a really diverse portfolio.
And all that success is built on a national dedication to learning. Education is compulsory from 5 all the way up to 18.
And the system is worth a quick look. It progresses through exams called National Fives, leading to hires and then advanced hires.
So for listeners outside the UK, think of hires as sort of like AP courses or A-levels. They're the qualifications you need to get into university.
Exactly. And those universities are some of the oldest and most respected in the world. You're talking about the University of Edinburgh, Glasgow, St. Andrews, which is Scotland's oldest, and Aberdeen. A truly rich academic heritage.
And culturally, we have to talk about sport. You can't discuss Scotland without mentioning golf.
Invented there in the 15th century. St. Andrews is basically its spiritual home.
And beyond that, there's a huge following for rugby, football, and traditional sports like curling and shinty.
Shinty is like a super fast-paced version of field hockey.
Okay, before we move on, we have to talk food. Specifically, the infamous haggis. You mentioned it's sheep's pluck minced with spices. Can we make that sound a bit more appealing?
Yes, let's. Forget the technical description. Think of it more as a deeply savory, highly spiced, textured meat dish. It's often compared to a dense sausage or a meatloaf.
Okay, that's better.
And it's always served with neeps and tatties. That's just mashed turnips and potatoes. And for dessert, you've got the buttery richness of shortbread or the dense crystallized sweetness of cablet.
All right, now for the part where the size-to-impact ratio just becomes staggering. We're moving into the world shapers, the people who fundamentally changed global science, philosophy, and industry.
This is the legacy of the Scottish Enlightenment. And it is astonishing. How did this relatively small, rugged nation produce such foundational thinkers?
Let's start with the Industrial Revolution. James Watt.
Right. And to be clear, he didn't invent the steam engine, but he perfected the existing design, making it vastly more efficient.
That single refinement basically powered the entire Industrial Revolution. I mean, without Watt's improvement, the scale of manufacturing and transport would have been unthinkable. He literally changed the speed of human history.
Speaking of revolutionary change, let's go to communication. Alexander Graham Bell gives us the telephone.
Overcoming the tyranny of distance.
And a little later, John Logie Baird pioneers the television. And not just black and white, but the first working color television system. Scotland basically gave the world the means to talk across oceans and watch the news from around the globe.
The impact is just immense. In pure science, you've got Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin in 1928.
That discovery changed everything. It turned once fatal bacterial infections into something manageable. It's arguably the single most important medical discovery of the 20th century.
And we owe so much to theoretical physics, too.
Oh, absolutely. James Clerk Maxwell. He unified the theories of electricity, magnetism, and light into one elegant framework. Einstein himself said Maxwell's work was the most profound physics had seen since Newton. And of course, the absolute temperature scale is named after Lord Kelvin.
So we have world-changing tech and science, but their most enduring legacy might actually be in philosophy and economics. You can't understand modern capitalism without talking about Adam Smith.
The father of modern economics. He wrote The Wealth of Nations. His central idea was the invisible hand, the concept that individuals chasing their own self-interest unintentionally benefit all of society.
Which was a radical departure at the time.
Totally. It provided the intellectual foundation for free market capitalism.
And Smith didn't just appear out of nowhere. His philosophical grounding came from thinkers like David Hume.
A giant of the Enlightenment. Hume was a deep skeptic, an empiricist. He argued that all knowledge comes only from sensory experience.
And that's the connection, right? That emphasis on skepticism, on observation, on evidence. That's the through line from mythic Scotland to scientific Scotland.
That rigorous, rational mindset is why they produced so many world shapers. And that reach extended even into global environmentalism, thanks to John Muir.
The father of the national parks in the U.S.
His writings helped create Yosemite and inspired countless conservation efforts.
The storytellers hold equal weight. We've mentioned Robert Burns, but think of the sheer variety. Sir Walter Scott basically created the historical novel with books like Ivanhoe.
And then the dark psychological tales of Robert Louis Stevenson. He gave us both the adventure of Treasure Island and the profound duality of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
And of course, the blueprint for every modern detective story. Sherlock Holmes from Arthur Conan Doyle.
Before we move on to landmarks, we have to acknowledge the political and cultural icons, going way back to titans like Robert the Bruce and William Wallace.
Figures synonymous with the fight for Scottish independence.
Right up to modern figures like Nicola Sturgeon, Scotland's first female First Minister, and former UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown. And in pop culture, the list is just ridiculous.
Sean Connery, the definitive James Bond.
Actors like Ewan McGregor and Tilda Swinton, musicians from Annie Lennox to Louis Capaldi. It's like a manufacturing hub for extraordinary talent.
It really is. So now that we know who shaped the world from Scotland, let's talk about the dramatic, storied places you absolutely have to see in Scotland.
We're moving straight into the land of fantasy epics here, starting with the castles. Edinburgh Castle.
Perched on an extinct volcano overlooking the capital, it's the symbol of the nation.
And just down the Royal Mile from there, you've got Holyrood Palace, the monarch's official residence in Scotland. Those two sites really define Edinburgh.
For military history, you have to visit Stirling Castle.
The key to the kingdom historically. It's where so many pivotal moments in the Wars of Independence happen.
And if you've ever searched online for the most beautiful castle in the world, you've probably seen a picture of Eilean Donan Castle.
Oh, definitely. In the Highlands. That small stone fortress on an island, connected by a bridge, it's the visual definition of rugged Scotland.
And for a touch of royal tragedy, Linlithgow Palace, the birthplace of Mary, Queen of Scots. These aren't just ruins, they are history distilled into stone.
But the natural landscape is even more dramatic than the architecture. The Isle of Skye, famous for its rugged cliffs and the fairy pools.
Stunningly clear turquoise waterfalls.
And then there's Glencoe Valley. It's hauntingly beautiful, framed by these huge looming mountains. But it's also famous for its tragic history, the massacre of Glencoe in 1692, a poignant reminder of the bloody clan conflicts.
And for just sheer scale, the Cairngorms National Park, Britain's largest life, offers these huge stretches of wilderness.
And for anyone who loves a good road trip, there's the North Coast 500, a world-famous scenic loop around the North Highlands.
And for a true cinematic experience, you can ride the Jacobite steam train route.
The Hogwarts Express.
Exactly. It's the very route from the Harry Potter films. It just perfectly captures that romantic, rugged Scottish feel.
Let's quickly span the extremes of time, though. You can visit Skara Brae in the Orkney Islands. It's a Neolithic stone settlement that's older than Stonehenge and the pyramids.
That's just mind-blowing. History stretching back 5,000 years.
And then you can jump straight to the modern industrial age. You have the Kelpies near Falkirk, these immense 30-meter-high horsehead sculptures.
Symbolizing Scotland's industrial power.
And nearby is the completely unique Falkirk Wheel. It's the world's only rotating boat lift, an astonishing modern solution to an ancient transport problem.
And to bring it back to culture, we have to mention St. Andrews, the home of golf, and the location of Scotland's oldest university.
And, of course, the explosion of global creativity every August during the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, the largest arts festival on the planet.
So we've synthesized a massive amount of information here. We started with that duality, the mythic land of the unicorn and Nessie, and the scientific land of penicillin and the steam engine.
And the key takeaway seems to be that Scotland is defined by its ability to integrate these opposites.
It takes its ancient clan history, the tartan and the kilt, but applies this rigorous, empirical, forward-looking mindset that gave the world modern medicine, physics, and economics.
The source material consistently underscores this immense intellectual legacy. Just think about Adam Smith and David Hume, two thinkers from a population smaller than London who laid the entire philosophical and economic foundation for the modern Western world.
It really raises a powerful question for you to explore until our next deep dive. How did the Scottish Enlightenment, with its emphasis on skepticism and empirical thinking, manage to carry such disproportionate intellectual weight? It didn't just fuel the Industrial Revolution, it codified the very frameworks, philosophical and democratic, that define our world today. What were they doing right?